Hello, everyone. It's Susan Gerbic from Psychics Explained. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. I have a new guest host with me. It is Rebecca, and it's still Christmas time at Rebecca's house. And so, what we're going to do today is this is her first time doing this. She's going to record with me. We're going to watch a segment of a Matt Fraser reading, and we're going to stop and start, and we're going to go through it in great depth. But before we get started, Rebecca, tell everybody who you are.
Hi, Susan. Thanks so much for letting me come on the podcast. So my name is Rebecca Catelview. I live in Richmond, Virginia. I have my bachelor's degree in criminal justice.
Ooh.
I am a proud mom, proud boy mom. I also enjoy jujitsu, horseback riding. I am a horse owner, and reading, especially true crime. And so I'm just really excited to be here.
This will be fun. I've done a few other interviews with people, and it's just eye-opening the experiences that you guys have. I have no clue about. I mean, all us humans are a little different. We have different life experiences and education levels and all kinds of things. And there's going to probably be many things that you're going to see that I would never even thought of that is going to happen in this reading. So, this should be interesting.
I definitely have learned a lot from listening, to your series. So let's see how much I listened and learned.
So tell me this, how many of these Matt Fraser videos, how many Matt Fraser readings do you think you personally got through because we've been watching a lot of Matt Fraser
Wow.
readings. There's about
That's so
9 per
hard.
day. How many
Probably
days
about
did you do?
40, 45.
Wow, dang. So this should be very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
You definitely, yeah, I'm really ready to dive in. There's a lot of meat on the bone here.
Did you know anything about Matt Fraser before it got
No,
mentioned to you?
I had no clue. Like, I thought Teresa Caputo was like the number one psychic of America because I've seen her show. You see her everywhere on all the talk shows. I had no idea who Matt Fraser was. I've never even seen him before. And so, yeah, no clue.
No clue. Isn't that interesting? He says he's America's top medium, and nobody's heard of him. I don't know how that is. And he says he's a New York Times bestseller. And he had a TV show, a popular TV show that was canceled after one season.
I never even heard about the TV show.
Yeah, it makes you really think that it isn't very popular if nobody's ever heard of it and it's canceled after one
Right,
season.
right.
I think there's a lot of fantasy going on in Matt's brain there.
Yeah, you kind of wonder about that a little bit. For yeah, especially when we get into this, you'll kind of see how he just kind of, shapes everything. So I wonder if we're seeing that bleed into his actual life where he's just shaping his own reality, right?
Oh, this should be interesting. Did you know what cold reading or hot reading was before you got
No,
involved?
no. Yeah, that's definitely something that I learned. And then, going through these readings with you and everyone else, which by the way, everyone else they're just wonderful people. What a great community. Very generous people to
Yeah.
offer their time. But no, I had no idea until, I started following you and listening to what you were saying, the different techniques that we see.
It is really interesting because people will argue with me who have watched Matt Fraser and they'll say, "Oh, that was a hot reading." And I thought, "No, that was cold reading." Nope, nope. He said it was way too specific. It was a hot reading. And we go back and listen to it and we, transcribe it and they're like, "Oh, I misremembered that." Or, "Oh." And it's just happens so fast that you just have a hard time really getting into it. Now, I've given you a transcript of the reading that you picked out, and you decided out of all the readings that you'd listened to that this is the one that you thought you wanted to evaluate with me. Any
Oh
reason?
my gosh, this one hit me really hard for a couple different reasons. Number one is it ends up being a mother and daughter who attend the same event and they go and find the mom. The second part was there's several inconsistencies that happen um, in the actual reading. You can definitely tell like what you're saying, it's a cold reading, and that the person that's coming through first suffered from Parkinson's disease. It really hit me hard because this one actually made me cry. My grandfather had Parkinson's disease for over 20 years, and I know how debilitating and horrible that disease can be. Um, it it was really hard to watch this one for me, Susan. And so this one really stuck out of all the 40 some videos that we viewed. This one really stuck out to me for those reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting a little choked up just
That's
thinking
fine
about
because
it.
I
I
want
gotta
people to
breathe.
understand that this isn't fun and games, and that's what a lot of the media depicts it as. Oh, well, they're helping people, and it's everybody knows it's fake. I mean, I'm like, no, they don't know it's fake. They really believe this, and I don't think it's help. To me, that's not helpful to what they're doing to these people. And I think it'll be more clear as we go move through this thing,
Right.
the reading. And I also want to point out to those people out there who are watching these videos, these interviews, um, dissecting these readings, that you are watching this with a blur over the faces of the participants, the sitters. We call them sitters. But Rebecca and I are going to watch this without the blur. So we're going to be able to see very clearly what is going on, the expressions, if there's tears, if their face changes color, all of that. We're going to be able to see that because we're seeing it large now. So I'm only going to blur the names of the the sitters and their faces and stuff. Everything else, you guys will see clear as Chris with Matt. You're going to see him fine, but. So Rebecca and I will probably need to describe to you, the audience, what it is that you might be missing because you're just not going to be able to see it very well. It'll be a blur. So you'll be able to see movement and stuff, but you're not going to be able to see age and tears but you're going to hear everything, all the emotions, everything that's there. So that's how we're going to do this. And I'll stop and start quite a bit so Rebecca and I can have a little conversation. She's got notes, guys. So watch out. She's got, she's got her notes. And so people watching this video, please, please, please leave me your comments underneath this video. I respond and read every comment you guys give. If I have something to say, I will leave it underneath. If I've read it, I will just at least hit a button that says like or whatever, so that you guys know I've gone through all these messages and I really appreciate it. And I know it's likely you guys are going to see things that I and Rebecca do not see because it happens all the time. People look at these videos and they ask questions, and I have to go back and look. And then I go, oh, you're right. That did happen. How did we miss that? So, this is a bit of a community. So we're doing this as a group, and Rebecca's going to help me out with it today. So this should be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. And we'll probably
Me
do more.
too.
We'll probably do more. This is the first one where she gets to introduce herself a little bit more. All right. So now this one does have the transcripts on the reading, which I think is going to be really helpful. I haven't done any others like that, and I'm going to try to do all the videos with the transcript on there. And I did go through and I made sure that the words, I'm pretty sure I went through and made sure all the words were what he says. So keep in mind, everybody, there gets to be a little bit of dark humor in here because we're just kind of a little bit, we've seen a lot of these. We know Matt's not really speaking to the dead. And so we might get a little punch weird about it a little bit. And there's going to be they're going to mention the words suicide, right? There's a suicide in here.
Yeah,
So if that
disclaimer.
bothers anybody, you might want to, I don't know, pass on this. Matt says the word and I'm not bleeping it. So what you're going to see first, the very first thing you're going to see is the end of a reading before, and it's only going to be on the screen a couple seconds, and it's somebody named Tony. And the reason why I'm showing it is because I want to make sure that anybody who wants to come back at me later and say that I'm cutting the video, I'm clipping it, I'm taking out parts, adding in parts, or I want them to understand I'm playing all the way through everything. And so Matt starts the reading off with the sitter before on screen. So I'm showing it that way. So you'll see her. She's not important. She's a part of the other reading that somebody will have to analyze later. All right, you ready, Rebecca?
I'm ready. Let's dive in.
Okay, let's go for it. So let me get to the right clip. So I'm going to stop pretty quickly because I want to describe who it is who's on the screen. It's going to be first
Yes.
the daughter, and then it's going to go to the her mom.
Chrissy Wood, did you lose the suicide? Was there someone who passed of suicide with you? So first of all, where are you right now?
I am in Peterborough, Ontario, Canada.
Oh, I'm happy that you're here.
Okay, so let's stop and you describe what it is that the people are seeing. They're missing, I should say.
Yeah, sure. So this person looks really engaged. She looks to me maybe somebody in her 20s, early 30s. Definitely, again, a woman because he typically reads for women, as Susan pointed out very early on in our viewing and dissecting of these videos. She looks really excited to be here and is kind of, moving along with the cadence of Matt's, speech,
Right.
basically. So she already looks kind of engaged and hooked.
Yeah, she's in a bedroom, I think.
I would definitely agree with that assessment.
I think she's sitting on the bed. I can
Yes, I
say.
would
Yeah.
say that is true.
Yeah, and I can't read what the necklace is. Sometimes it gives it away if it's like got a Christian cross or something like that, but I don't can't tell what that is.
No, I can't either, but he always does focus on the jewelry.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of jewelry, you guys. It's
A
just
lot.
a lot of jewelry. So, you know what I wanted to also point out, Rebecca, and I'm forgetting because I've done a lot of these readings since we recorded this. And this was from November 30th, 2025. And you and I are recording this on the 4th of January, 2026. So a lot of time has passed for me. But one of the things that I can mention is that Matt chose her off a screen of people who are already prepped and in a waiting room.
Right,
So
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
So when he says to nobody in particular, hey, is it you, Chris, that has had a person who died from suicide? He can see a thumbnail of her and a few other people. And if
Right,
she's sitting there nodding, yes, yes, that's me, then he has his team pull her up and pin her. So
right,
he already knows ahead of time before she's on screen that she had the suicide, if that made sense.
right. And so what's interesting is in speaking with you, Susan, you had mentioned a similar tactic at a live event where he'll have a whole row stand up,
Oh
right?
my
And that
gosh,
just
you're
speaks to
right.
me, right? The correlation, it's the same technique.
Uh-huh. It is the
Yeah,
same. Yeah. So he's looking to see who it is who he has a reaction to. And then
exactly.
that's the one that gets chosen. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm thrilled. You
It
know,
just like clicked for me
reading
when
my
you said
stuff.
that.
You're reading my stuff. This is
I'm trying to listen, Susan.
wow. People are paying attention. I've heard this in a couple other people's interviews, and I'm like, what? Yeah, I was to go. Okay, that's right. Okay, so now it's going to get a little more interesting because she's going to pull up. She's going to say her mom's here. So, oh, and also look at Matt, right? I think he's a performer. I mean, he thinks it's like an actor playing a thing, and he's just done this so many times. I mean, the colors, the background, he always wears muted browns, blacks, beiges, without any kind of like marks on it, like a logo or anything, with the candles in the back. And he's just
Right.
super engaged. He's staring at you the whole freaking time. I mean, his eyes
Yes.
are not moving from he's 100% focused on these people.
Yes. And so I agree with that 100% for a couple different reasons. Obviously, bronzer alert, he's wearing makeup, right?
I
We're trying to
didn't
look
think
good on
so.
camera, right? Just like an actor.
Oh
I
my
find
gosh.
his presentation to be very reminiscent of vaudeville. Um, yeah, and it's definitely he talks so fast, but people really pay more attention to body language than they do to word choice.
Mhm.
And so as soon as you can tell she's really engaged from her body language here. And so he's kind of playing off of that, but I definitely think a lot of things that he does are rehearsed and practiced, and it's definitely for show. Definitely a showman.
You know, that's super funny that you said that about the makeup. Was it you that had mentioned that when we were watching this live?
Yeah, I was the one that was shouting bronzer alert.
Yeah, we were texting each other back and forth. So there was a group of us, and I couldn't remember who had said it, but I have never noticed that. I've never noticed it. But now that I'm looking at it, you may very well be right.
So
it's all
if you go
planned.
to the one reading that was so weird and the camera angle was off and it started late and he seemed kind of off. It was like a Saturday morning. The
Mhm.
makeup is totally different, right? And it seemed to be a little bit of a clunky production. So this is I would say his planned makeup look. But yeah, you could definitely tell a difference between the one here and the one on that Saturday as far as his appearance and camera placement. This is the typical, all the other 40 ones that we watched together. This is his typical appearance. And
I've never really noticed, but then I'm not the type that notices those kinds of things. But and there's nothing wrong with a person wearing makeup for a
no.
But it just makes it feel even more that this is a performance.
Absolutely.
He's acting. And
absolutely,
that's my feeling. Okay, so let's move on and see what happens with Mom.
I love Ontario Canada. I was staying not too long ago actually at Casino Rock.
Yeah, my mom and my dad had gotten me and my husband tickets, and we got to see you live. It was amazing.
Oh my God! Well, did you get a reading that night?
No, we recently lost my dad, so my mom is actually on here too, and she just got us tickets for your live today.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, first of all, I got to tell you that the soul is connected with you. I kept hearing suicide. So first of all, who is that to you?
That would be my auntie, which is my mom's sister.
Okay, so we're gonna bring her up. What's her name?
My mom's name is Susan or Sue Murray.
Do you know if she's on here? If she's on,
she is on here, yeah.
By that name, Susan Murray or Sue Murray?
It could be Sue Murray or Susan Murray.
We're gonna see if we can find her. Well, the production team to see if we can find her because we can bring her up. That's perfect.
She's far away from me. She lives like 4 hours from me, so we got 2 tickets to come and see you.
Well, listen. I'm so glad that you guys are here, and I'm so happy that you guys. It's the cool part is doing these online readings is that even though when you're in one place and your mom's in the other, the souls still know that you're here. Just like that woman that I was connecting with earlier. I think her name was and her husband were here. Oh, here she is. Is this your mother? Is this the right Sue Murray?
I can't see her yet. Wait, that's Mom.
Okay, I'm going to stop so you can describe what we're seeing again.
So I guess we'll call her our sitter, right? The person that's getting the reading.
Call her Sue.
Sue. So Chrissy is really engaged, but Sue, her mom, obviously older, glasses on top of her head. She looks to be sitting in more of a den kind of situation. You really kind of only see her from here up. She's smiling. She looks really, happy about it. Her daughter, Chrissy, is very, going like this a lot. And, in the beginning, he goes like this with his hand over his heart, like he's really touched. And she gets kind of like, oh my gosh, and so there's a lot of, body language back and forth showing a lot of engagement. So, and she also obviously revealed her dad had just passed. So I think that is important to point out now because you're going to see something later.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dad is gone. Mom is here. We're believers. We've been to your show. We love you to pieces. Whatever you say, we're going to make it fit somehow.
Yes.
Yeah. And they're Canadian too. I don't know if that makes a difference, but who knows? All right. Here we go back again.
Hello.
One time we had like the wrong Sue Murray, the wrong person up, and the person's like, "That's not my mother." So we got to make sure this is her, correct?
You're right, Mom.
That's me.
So Sue, that was
Hi.
That was unfortunately your sister that passed of suicide, correct?
She did, yeah.
And then your husband also passed as well?
Yeah, we lost.
Yeah, recently.
Okay. I gotta tell you, your sister is the one who's coming through to me. She's the first one through in spirit. Because right away when I was connecting, I kept hearing like I have to explain what had happened. I have to explain why I died. I have to explain what happens with me. And the moment I'm connecting with your sister's soul, she tells me that not only was she going through emotional struggles here in this world, but she keeps talking about going through physical struggles. There was health struggles that she was going through when she was alive, because this was not a normal suicide. This was not like I was depressed and I died.
No.
She said to me that her depression came
No.
from being afraid, and her depression came from being fearful of the illness that she had. She keeps saying to me, Matt, I had to end my life or else this illness was going to take me. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, so Rebecca, so much information
Wow.
already. And there is so much feedback. I mean, these people are so engaged. And really, all he said to them is, there is a person who committed suicide and in your family, and they just let it all out with everything, who it is. I mean, why do he have to ask? If he's talking to the person who committed suicide, why does he have to ask who and how is it related to you? Why doesn't he just say their name?
Right, exactly.
That would be so much easier. Your aunt is here. She committed suicide because of this reason, and she's here, and your mom's here somewhere too, right? Can we talk to her both?
Right, or describe a physical appearance or talk about this specific illness or
how
even the
long
part
it's been, anything.
the body that's been affected,
They're telling everything. This huge. And I forgot to mention that Sue's audio is a little loud. And so I apologize to anybody who came in and said, whoa, that was loud.
Right.
Her audio.
So the first thing that I noticed when she verified which family it was that, passed from suicide, as soon as he started talking to her, her mouth like drops a little bit and it like hits her. She gets teary a little bit immediately. And as he progresses, she gets more and more like this. And then she's holding her hand over her mouth because she's starting to get choked up and upset. And this is really what this lady is so visibly upset about her sister passing.
Right.
Sorry, I'm not trying to get choked up either. She looks like this.
Wait, I can't see you. Wait, let me unshare.
She looks like me where you're about to cry. Yeah, you're just like, and she's trying to keep her hand over her mouth. And she's like this at one point because she's like, like, how did he know? He talks about not only is it mental depression, well, most people that pass of suicide are having some sort of mental illness, specifically depression. Yes. Then he gets into also a physical illness, right? But he doesn't mention what kind of physical illness, what part of the body is affected, how that plays in with the mental health. We don't get any of that. We get the afraid and fearful about the physical situation. And so as he's talking about this, she nods at each sentence. Yes, yes, yes.
Yep.
Which is a tell.
Yeah. Huge,
right?
Huge. Yeah, like that. Very, very much. Yeah, both of them are giving so much feedback. Let me ask you a question here real quick. Well, also we have to remember this woman's husband has just died also.
Right.
So, and well, Chris's father. So,
yes.
There's a lot of emotion going on in death.
Absolutely.
Recently. And the father went to the Matt Fraser show. So they probably might think that dad would be coming through because he had gone, and I guess
right.
But
and it's interesting later on. Keep that in the back pocket, guys, because that's going to come up a little bit later on.
Do you think that these women, and this is an interesting question, I don't know the answer to, do you think that these women came to Matt Fraser's reading with already in mind who it is they want to hear from?
Absolutely. I think most people do.
You do. Do you think it was the dad they wanted to hear from?
Yes.
That would make sense to me. and that the suicide came in and it was like, oh, wait, what?
It was very shocking. Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I think that because I've seen other readings where Matt will throw out, oh, somebody died tragically in a mystery, and they say, that's my dad. And then when the story's revealed, it's not a tragic or a mystery. It's all just dad dying of, a slow cancer or something like that, or heart disease, and they knew a lot. It's always a
Right.
tragedy, but it's not like a mystery and a tragedy, like somebody who had died in a car accident or something,
Right.
the vague use of the word tragedy.
Right. And then if you watch as many readings as we've watched together or more, there are certain things that he fishes for, right? He's using certain lures. Who had the baby that died? Who has the suicide? Who has the alcoholic? Who has, the young person that passed in tragedy? Who lost their husband? Right. So he's asking very similar questions, and you see a pattern in the shows.
Very open-ended questions that if he's speaking to a dead person who's contacted him, you would think they would have just said, hey, I'm her sister. Oh, I'm her
Right.
sister. She's here somewhere. Oh, I'm the auntie of this wood. They're both here. Call on them.
Right.
My name is, we don't have a name, do we?
No.
We have no name. So I don't know. Okay, let's go back. Okay, here we go.
That's why she's here right now.
Yeah.
Sorry?
That's why she's here right now.
Yes, she had Parkinson's.
Okay. She said to me that she had this planned, and she had this planned for quite some time, where she said, if it gets this bad, and if it gets to the point where I feel as though that I'm being trapped, she said, I'm going to end my life. So I want to let you know that when I'm connecting with her, she was in her right mind before she had died. The only reason why this woman was depressed and anxious was because of the disease itself. She didn't know what the next morning was going to look like. And she lived in fear because of that. Because every morning was a new symptom. Every day there was a new issue. And she said to me this. She said to me that before she died, she talks about having an amazing week with all of you and an amazing month with all of you, because she talks about like having conversations with all of you, getting to talk with you. She made sure that she got as close as she could with all of you and spent as much time with all of you before she actually did this. And that's what I have to let you know. Because she's coming through and telling me this. She's also telling me that there was something that was found. I'm not sure if it was a letter or something that was here that explained that she planned on doing this because of her condition.
No, we never found a letter.
I feel like she told somebody.
Yes.
I feel like she told somebody about this, or that there was like somebody had contacted you afterwards and said, she told me this, or she sent me this.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. It was
So Rebecca, he missed with the letter, and this woman Sue here at the end is saying, oh, sorry, like as if she's the one that got it wrong.
Yes. And so I think we had it in our chat. We had talked about the power dynamic here, that people are looking at him as being the expert, and you don't want to upset him, right? She's trying to make these loops connect as he's trying to make these loops connect, right? And so, he specifically mentions something physical, a letter, which to me is different from a message or somebody calling you. So he is actually missing twice, right? He's saying a letter, and then he's saying a message, and then he's saying somebody actually called you or called you after the fact. So we have 4 options here. Not to mention, when we start this reel and he starts talking about she has, mental and physical problems. She has depression. She's afraid. She's fearful. But she was then in her right mind when she did this, right? So there's an inconsistency there. And then he starts talking after they reveal the Parkinson's feeling trapped in her own body. So we're definitely playing into his own understanding of the disease and really kind of playing in the story. But another interesting part about body language is when he starts talking about having spent all this time with her family the week before, you notice that the sitters, both of them, their body language drops off.
Because it wasn't a week before, was it?
No, it
And then he
wasn't.
changes quickly to a month.
He changes very quickly to a month,
And
and
then
there's
he
not as
changes
much.
to a call that that you guys were talking,
Yes,
not like you physically saw each other.
Yes, it's a very, very clear. He's talking so quickly, right? But it's a very clear, we're fishing for the right details here. So the letter, absolutely, definitely a miss.
Yep. And then he goes on to the next thing, which was somebody, wait, a letter. Then what was the next one? Called, somebody contacted you after the fact. That was the third one. There was something else right before that. What was it?
Right. He was saying, oh, I see a letter. Somebody got a message to you.
That's it. Yeah.
And then it was, you had a
After.
conversation about it. And then it was, somebody called you after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And it's subtle. What we're seeing, just what you and I are saying, is that when he says that you spent the week, she was just being very careful to make sure she spent that week in close contact with you, and that they do very subtly go, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense.
You see them sink a little bit, and you see the body language stopping, and she says, like one time, instead of this consistent nodding that we've seen since the beginning of the conversation.
Right. So he's quick. He's very quick. He's very good at this cold reading stuff. He
Yes.
very quickly changed tactics and made it a month, and then he turned it into calls. Yeah. Okay. So let's go on and see what's next. I'm trying to remember.
My aunt, the day she was going to do it, and my aunt, of course, kind of talked it down and just said, like, you'll be fine, you're taking the medication. And it was only after we found out that conversation happened.
She said to me that she did this for a reason, not because she wanted help, not because she wanted anyone taking care of her or to be on suicide watch. She did this because she wanted you all to know. She knew that this message would get back to you. So she's told a couple of key people, she's telling me, that, like, if this gets bad enough, or if this gets to the point of no return, I'm going to take my life.
Yeah.
So please know that she was doing this because she wanted the message to get back to you after her passing. She knew that nobody was going to really take this seriously because she didn't say it in a depressed way. She said it in a way of just matter of fact, and I see that she was waiting for that message. She wanted to make sure that message was out there so that this way, if one day that she died, you would all know the reason why. Because like I said, she had this planned for, I want to say, years. Because she's bringing this through and saying, I didn't know. I knew I was going to know when. She said it could have been that day. It could have been the day after. It depends on how she woke up in the morning, what she felt in the morning. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
She wants to let you know that. But I got to tell you, Sue, she's here because this woman loves you so much and she loves her family so much.
Okay, I'm going to pause before we get into the platitudes of how much she loves
Right.
it.
We're about ready to be on the upswing of the bell curve here.
Yeah. It gets to be a lot of that in a minute. So what are your thoughts on all of that? I know nothing about Parkinson's. So to me, I don't know. Is this something that you plan for years? I mean, I don't know.
I noticed the body language there when he was talking about, I would say it was planned for years. The engagement stops again, and you kind of see her sinking a little bit.
They kind of go,
She's saying she didn't want to be on suicide watch, but she had obviously had vocalization of a plan and suicidal ideation and intent here. So I think when she's saying her aunt had talked her down, they thought that she was okay. It's very inconsistent of if it was that day or a different day.
I think it was that day or the night before. Within 24 hours, she did it.
Right.
She called her aunt and said, tomorrow or whatever, very soon. And the aunt talked her out of it. Take your medication, it'll be fine. didn't
Right.
take it seriously.
Right. And so I got the impression from him that everybody knew about this for a long time and that she had been saying it and saying it and saying it. And what I'm hearing from you is you think, don't get me wrong, let me put words in your mouth, that they'd only found out about this the day before.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay.
I don't think Chris and Sue had any idea that the unnamed sister was going to kill
Mhm.
herself.
See, I read that totally different. I thought it was, kind of a fact that, the aunt was talking her down. It sounded like it was something that was kind of known within the family. But getting back to the Parkinson's piece, it's a very debilitating neurological condition.
Mhm.
You do have moments of actually your muscles seizing up, and this causes a lot of falls. It happened quite frequently with my grandfather. And you do feel trapped in your body. There's a lot of sleep paralysis. There's also, you lose motor function, and you're not able to speak as clearly. And so there is, those components. But I feel that even not having a family member or being a doctor, most people kind of know the basics of what Parkinson's is.
Wouldn't she have had somebody living with her to if it was really bad where she's I mean, can you live by yourself on your own if it's that bad?
So I want to say yes. And here's why I say yes. In
Mhm.
the beginning of my grandfather's disease progression, and not everybody's disease progression is the same, he was actually working full time, driving, and also taking care of my bedridden grandmother.
Wow.
But as the disease progresses, you lose abilities to do certain things. Now, of course, treatments today are much more advanced than treatments then, but I think it is possible, but I think it's a rare chance of possibility. If it's getting that bad that you're thinking about taking your own life, I would think that I'm hoping she wasn't living alone, but I think it's in the realm of possibility.
Well, because you would think that if she was living with somebody, they would have been the person who was told and and knew that she was keeping medications for this, or
Right.
we don't know how
Right.
she dies. We at
Right.
no point Matt mentions how that is. So if she's holding back medications or something else, we the person who's living with her would know because
Right. You would think that, but my grandfather really kind of controlled his own medication.
Mhm.
Um, he was the one that went and got it from the pharmacy. Sometime later on, they switched to mail order, obviously, when he wasn't as well. Actually, having lived with my grandparents for 4 years and being their primary caretaker, I did see, when it was that they couldn't take care of themselves. But in the beginning of the disease progression, it would be possible that she could be living on her own and controlling her own
Okay.
medications, or controlling her own medications, even if she had somebody living with her. So I think, it's definitely in the realm of possibility.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. And I'm really interested because Rebecca and I are hearing this a little different from each other. So
We are.
people in the comments, you guys tell us what you think. And you could go back and rewatch parts of this, and give us some better comments because after I've watched it a few times, you feel like you have an impression of what's going on, and it's really
Yes.
hard to get yourself out of, but wait, I heard it this way. And it's in my mind, that's what I'm thinking, is that everything was progressing. She was probably living without help, and she just, complained about it as people do. And that after it happened, these two people who probably didn't see her all that often. I mean, they might not have lived as close as you think, and they probably didn't really know that it was that bad. And all of a sudden, they said, "Oh yeah, they find out after she has died that she was
Right.
the one who made the decision to kill herself." And so
Right.
they're like, "Oh, I didn't know it was that bad, or I didn't know." And
Right.
that's my impression. So you guys in the comments, tell us if you think it's different, especially because you guys are watching this for the very first time, and you're not as influenced as Rebecca and I are already.
Yeah, sure.
Forever.
And again, he has this inconsistency of saying in the beginning, we're depressed, anxious, and fearful. But then he's saying she committed this act of taking her own life, not in a depressed way. Right. So again, this inconsistency.
Right. That's true. And I hadn't even noticed that. That's good. Okay. So we're going to do some platitudes because Matt always does platitudes to let him back down. He might try to end the reading because it's like he brings them, it goes all over the death. It's all about the death. Let's get the details of the death. For whatever reason, he has to do that. I don't know. And then over into the platitudes, he brings them down, and then he might end the reading, but he's going to go on because he knows Dad's dead. So
yes,
I think let me see if there's anything else on here about, I wanted to really talk about that was about the Parkinson's or about the sister. Only that I wrote in her right court. I have no idea why I wrote court. In her right mind, maybe I was trying to say, but I wrote.
I do remember him saying she's in her right mind, and that kind of struck me as odd. I shared this with you before, but having spoke to a doctor who actually lives in Colorado, I spoke with him in passing, and he was somebody who knew somebody that I knew. We had talked about human euthanasia, and he actually practices that as a doctor in Colorado where it's legal. And I said, gosh, I wish this had been around for when my grandfather passed, because unless you die of something else, typically most Parkinson's patients die from starvation, which is horrible to think about. And he said, oh, he wouldn't have been eligible for euthanasia. And I said, why? Oh, because they're not considered to be competent.
At that point where they're able to make that decision, where you would
exactly
expect them
when
to make
you've been diagnosed, you're not considered to be competent.
Interesting. Yeah.
So wow. take that at face value, but that is kind of what struck me with this whole, when he's talking about the mental health and the physical piece.
Well, I wrote in her right mind. I see the word mind off to the side, but then I wrote the word court, and I have no idea if that's going to come up or not. The only thing that really bothers me a lot is that there's no point there's anybody's name mentioned. She doesn't.
No.
He never says your sister Elizabeth is here, or he doesn't even accidentally say. He doesn't accidentally say, "Oh, and now Elizabeth is telling me," and now and Elizabeth said that she contacted her other sister Deborah. Nobody's mentioned because Matt don't know.
No,
it's cold reading. Is this cold?
Yeah,
reading?
we're definitely fishing here.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to go through some platitudes. Let's get to the next person that they want to hear from. The person they really want to hear from, I think.
That she did find peace on the other side. And she tells me that, there was, because of the way she died, there was a lot of hurt and pain, wondering.
Yeah.
Like, did she make it to heaven? Did she make it to the other side? Is she at peace? And this is her way of validating to you that her soul is at peace and she is there. Oh, I also keep hearing she's got a cat with her as well in spirit.
Oh, I forgot about the cat.
So did she have a cat?
The cat.
No, she had many dogs, didn't she?
There's an all black. Hold on 1 second. There's an all black cat that I keep seeing that's coming through to me. Was that your cat?
It could have been my childhood. I had a childhood black cat.
Oh yeah, we did. I had Fluffy, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Was that your
Yeah.
I had Fluffy and Penny, but she was my black cat.
Please know that I also saw this soul that was also coming through as well. And it's this all black cat that I keep seeing in spirit that's coming through as well. So if that was your cat, then that's going to be the reason why. Mm-hmm. I got to tell you, I do have your husband here as well, your dad.
Okay, before we get to husband, we got to talk about the cat, because that was like, what the hell? I have a cat coming through. Like, nobody's ever had a black cat in their life, so it must be specifically your cat or somebody's cat.
Right, exactly.
Unnamed cat.
So, number one, so excited to find out animals are in heaven.
We're going to have a pony. I tell you, Rebecca.
That other reading where he was talking about the horse. Oh my gosh. I was really excited to find out my pony would be in heaven with me. But anyway, Yeah. So just to back up before we talk about the cat, he talks about there was a lot of questions about had she made it to heaven. And so this is a common theme in most religions, that if you commit the act of taking your own life,
Right. I hadn't thought of that. You're right.
that you're not going to be able to progress to, paradise, heaven, what have you. Or you're not even allowed to be buried on consecrated
That's
ground. And so, given that a majority of this area is Christian and a majority of that area is blah blah, as far as it's possible they could be Catholic or however have you. That's a pretty common underlying theme in most societies. So I think that was kind of a give me there.
I
Just a
completely
give me.
forgot about that they would be really worried that she wouldn't make it to heaven
And we
because she
got a
was
big
off.
smile, and she was really excited to see that from the mom. I was mostly watching the mom during this part because she is so tied in and so emotional. But you notice that he's fishing about this black cat, and they said, no, she didn't have a cat. She had many dogs. Right? And he goes, no, 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 wait a second.
You're wrong. That black cat
Right?
belongs to somebody.
I see an all black cat. And so then the daughter says, oh, the childhood cat. That was like, oh, sorry. I did have a childhood black cat named Fluffy. We'll
Mhm.
just know that this spirit is coming through. Right?
I mean, it's so obvious to you and I, but to other people, they're gonna be people who still believe and that this is real are going to find that as evidence. Because
Right.
why would a black cat come through? And there was a black cat. They had a black cat. Well, I'm sorry, but people have cats, lots of them. They go through, they only live so long. And if you
Right.
didn't have a cat, it could have been your brother's cat, or it could have been a dad's cat, or the neighbor's cat that was always coming by. I mean, there's cats. They're all over the place.
Or it could be symbolic of something else, black cats.
True.
He doesn't use a lot of symbols, though, I have to say. He's a little bit different. You've listened to some mediums where they talk about things they see in symbols,
Yeah, it's a
right?
little
But we
little
don't get a
different.
lot out from
They're
that.
all a little different style. So now here comes dad. And when we go back, you'll see the woman, the Chrissy, the daughter is, I've got the frame over here frozen on my other monitor. She's like this.
Right. And she's the one that said, we just lost my dad, right? From the beginning.
And yeah, and
So,
she's surprised that dad's coming through.
right.
Wow.
Exactly.
You told Matt. You told him. She
Yes. Before they even got started, it was Ontario and it was dad, right? So.
And we had gone to one of your readings before, and dad was there. We had tickets. We went and saw you live, and now dad's dead. And now she's surprised.
Vampire people. That is what he is here. He is picking up a freebie reading, all right?
On. She got my shirt on. She's my girl.
Check out the swag, people. It's awesome.
It's so funny. That's so cool. Okay, so here we go. Here comes dad. Here comes dad. Again, dad's never named. No name, just dad or husband.
Chrissy, I don't have too much of a message for him because he's an early soul. He's a new soul that recently passed over, right? But I do have through. He does tell me that he wishes that he would have stayed here longer or could have stayed here longer. He tells me that when I'm connecting with him, that there were problems in multiple parts of his body and that there was too much wrong to fix. That's what he keeps telling me.
Yeah, there was.
He needs you to know that he knows that he keeps telling me that before he had died, that the doctors were taking care of him. He was under medical supervision beforehand. He tells me that, multiple treatments and things were being done to him, but he kept saying to me, there's too much wrong. There's too much wrong. There was no way that I was going to make it out of this. So he needs you all to know this, because the last thing that he wanted, he tells me about him being weak. He makes me feel this all going through his body. And he keeps saying to me, I didn't want to be in the wheelchair. I didn't want to be in the wheelchair.
Yeah, that's what he was worried about.
So I need to let you know that that is not the way that he wanted to live his life. And I don't want to get into great detail, but he keeps talking about even having issues going to the bathroom on his own.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was this man had a lot of pride. And he keeps talking when I'm speaking to him, like he was very embarrassed by that. Like he didn't want anyone to see him naked. He didn't want anyone to touch him down there. And he said to me, Matt, He said, it's not that I gave up. He said, but I want them to know that I fought as hard as I could, but I didn't want to accept a life like this.
No, yeah.
So I need you to know.
Can we stop right here, Susan? I've got so much.
There, I was just getting into it, man. There's so much there.
Wow.
They are really emotional too.
So they had didn't the daughter mention in the beginning of the season that her dad had just passed away?
Yeah, it was just really recent. They said that.
Okay, so that was like we had agreed. That was a freebie. Mm-hmm. He starts talking about problems, multiple problems throughout his body, and they keep agreeing and they keep agreeing. Multiple problems, multiple treatments. They agree to the weakness.
Oh, yeah.
They agree to it being all through his body. Mm-hmm. Then he says, I didn't want to live my life in a wheelchair. I'm sorry, but who wants to live their life in a wheelchair?
Especially whenever your house is not designed to have a wheelchair in it, Think about that.
Not just that, but the whole independence and the struggle.
Well, you see some people who are, in a wheelchair fairly young, and they adapt and they drive and they do this stuff.
Right.
But a man who's already very, very ill, and then you have to put a ramp in, you've got to remodel the bathrooms, you've got to do all these things to accommodate to a wheelchair. It is not a simple task. And if you're a father that is like a doer, and you're the one that's used to having like, oh, the toilet needs to be fixed, I'm going to go fix it. You don't hire somebody. If you've got all of a sudden, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to be in a wheelchair. We're going to have to bring people in to fix stuff. They're going to have to change the closet door. They're going to have to lower the bed. We're going to have to do, oh my gosh, what a nightmare. I could definitely see somebody saying no.
Definitely, you lose your independence. People look at you different in society.
Women have to push you around.
No, exactly.
Yeah, they have to take the wheelchair in and out of the car. My dad, I had to do this for my dad, and he really did not want my mom pushing him in the wheelchair.
Oh my God. I was young,
but no.
I had to do this for both my grandparents, and it was very, very hard for my grandmother. It was very hard for her to accept. My grandfather couldn't verbalize as much, but my grandmother, it was so hard. And then he's talking about how this man had a lot of pride and, having trouble going through the bathrooms on his own. A majority of people who are living in a wheelchair have difficulty going to the bathroom on their own, just saying. And that he had a lot of pride and he was embarrassed about that. I'm sorry, but who's going to not be embarrassed about somebody having to take care of your
daughter too?
Exactly. I had to take care of my grandparents, and it was very embarrassing for them. I don't know who wouldn't be embarrassed. And of course, a man is going to have a lot of pride, especially like you said, if he's a provider, a protector, a doer. I think this is, again, pulling on those social tropes. It's similar to the suicide and not knowing if she was going to make it to heaven. Here again, we're pulling on a social trope of this man has a lot of pride. I don't know a man that doesn't have a lot of pride, right? And that he didn't want to be seen naked, and he didn't want to be, this is like most people. He's not really giving us any hardcore information.
There's no evidence in here. This is all just tropes that he's using. And Matt's done thousands of readings. So he's following a pattern. He knows this stuff already. He knows it's typical that a man who is probably born in the 1940s or 1950s, he knows that mentality of a man is not necessarily one who's going to be happy about being in a wheelchair and having to have bowel movements and have somebody change a diaper. And no, of course not.
Depression era people, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. My grandparents were born, in the 1920s. And so I very much can feel with this lady. The other thing is, the reason that I thought that they were here to hear from the father, not just mentioning the daughter having mentioned that he had passed, but as soon as we start talking about the father, they both get teary.
I think she leans in her seat more. She
leans more emotional. We're very engaged here. I know you can't see their faces, but there's a definite change in the reaction to this reading as opposed to the first reading, right? And so that's why I was thinking, besides the daughter mentioning it first, this is who they're here to hear from.
I think you're right. And Matt gives an out right away. He says, oh, well, I can't give you too many details because it's recent. And Matt always says that when it's recent, he can't give a lot of details because they have not figured out how to come through, learned all the ways of doing it. I've heard him say this so many times. They haven't quite figured it out yet. So the people who have been dead a long time are usually easier to communicate and they give more details. So Matt's already set himself up by saying, well, your dad is not going to, there's not a lot of details because it's so recent, because she said that to him. She said it's recent. So Matt remembers. And so now he can just say, oh, your dad's here, but I'm not going to tell you a lot.
Right. And so in another reading, I can remember which one, but gosh, having watched 40 some readings, he did mention that when souls pass, they're in this moment of transition. And he couldn't actually give us a time frame of how long this transition lasts, but that they're not able to communicate, according to him, as clearly. But to contradict that, in a previous reading that we heard, the soul was very new. He came to find out halfway through the reading and said, wow, this is really powerful. Like, you have to hear this right now. That's why the soul is coming through
I'd forgotten that.
clearly. Right. And so that's a contradiction. And again, just showing how he's shaping the narrative to fit their expectation.
I think he just
story
makes
they
stuff up.
want to hear. Right.
He makes up whatever he feels like making up. I mean, it's not like there's some rules, right? Like, this isn't Beetlejuice where they've got like a book of the dead and you look at the rules. Oh, okay, let's turn to page 47 and it tells us here's the rules for the death. No, he's making stuff up. And then he goes with the common tropes that all mediums do, coins, birds, flowers, whatever. He'll use those because that's what 1111 or whatever, because that's what the sitters are used to hearing is about tropes like music or whatever. That's a common mediumship trope, but they just keep repeating themselves as if this is the rule somewhere. I mean, come on.
Right.
There's no rule.
I feel like having learned from you and seen all these examples, I could kind of do this myself, but I won't because it's wrong.
We have ethics, Rebecca, but yeah.
We're
also on, on screen now talking about
watching this poor lady, and about 15 seconds into this reading, I just started bawling. I just am, oh gosh.
Yeah, I feel really, really bad for her. This is very fresh for the daughter and the mother. And well, let's end. Is there more on this one? I can't remember. What's next?
There is. We're getting into the dad now.
More?
Yes, there's more. And I don't want to give it away.
Okay, I've forgotten, so I'll be surprised. Let's see.
He is completely fine. Now, I want to talk about things that he's telling me about something that's happening in the future. So I know he just recently passed. So sometimes spirit will get ahead of us and tell us things that you're either planning or working on, right? And he talks about something special being done with his ring or your wedding ring here in the physical world.
Jewelry.
So did you talk about either redoing his ring or remaking his ring?
I'm wearing his ring.
No, he's talking about redoing it or remaking it. So it almost looks like, when people like take rings and they make it into like either a necklace or make it into a heart, like it's something like that he's telling me about.
I have one of his rings when he was ill. I'm actually wearing a match to it. When he was ill, he had to get it cut off years ago. And he gave it to me, and my husband and I are getting it reshaped for him.
There you go. Perfect. So no, it's his way of bringing that through. Because when I'm connecting with him, he says, I know what they're doing with the ring. And like I said, sometimes we don't know because our loved ones can see things before they even happen.
Oh, come on. Come on now. Come on now. Give me a break. All he said is something about, what was Matt's first line? There's something about a ring or?
So spirit sometimes talks about things, gets ahead of themselves and starts talking about things that are going to happen in the future. Now, I don't remember any other reading that we watched where he said something like this.
I've got a lottery number. I got a lottery ticket right here. I'd like to hear the future.
Let's go Powerball.
$40 million. Come on, man.
He's talking about a ring or re-wedding ring being remade into something or being reshaped into maybe a heart or something else. And she said, I'm wearing his wedding ring on a necklace. And he says, no. Right?
I would have taken it if I was Matt. I would have been like, oh, that's what he's
Right.
talking about. That's a hit.
Right. He said,
Why did
no,
he continue? I
it's
don't
being
know.
remade. So then the daughter says, oh, he had to have a ring that he was wearing when he was sick.
Very ill years ago. She
but
said years ago.
off. And
Cut
they're
off.
having it reshaped to fit her husband.
And
But that's not
she's wearing a match to that ring right
yes,
now.
yes, but that's not remaking it into a heart shape or something else. That's just fixing a ring, right?
Right.
And he just know that he knows that this is happening. After we've had confirmation from them that the story that changed around is the truth, right? So now we're validating what they already said.
No, Rebecca and I have seen a lot of readings, and jewelry
Yes.
comes in a lot.
Yes.
Because people aren't likely to throw away jewelry. So he'll say,
No.
She's talking about the necklace. You still have it, right? And they're like, well, yeah, of course I still have the necklace. What do you think? I'm going to sell it? I pawned it off.
Right.
Or I threw it away. I gave it to the Goodwill. Of course they still have whatever this beloved piece of jewelry is that the person wore all the time, a necklace, a ring, or whatever.
Now there is one specific reading that also made me cry. Gosh, I'm a crier. I'm so sorry, people. There's one specific reading. I think it may have been the recording the day before this, or maybe this same day. He talks about, she's telling me that there's a crucifix necklace, and Lace says no. And he goes, a rosary. And she says, no. He said, okay, I'm seeing a cross. Is there a dead baby? She says, yes. And then she starts talking about all these dead babies. He's like, just know I see 3 crosses. These are for the babies, blah, 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 blah. And so,
I remember
right, again,
this, but yeah.
Reshaping the story to fit the narrative of,
and they're not going to hear it any differently, except
no.
They're going to hear it exactly how they think, because remember, they're not recording this. There is no recording of this outside of, well, Matt has a recording and we have a recording, and these people will never look at this again. And in their mind, they're not even taking notes or anything. So when they're done with this, who knows? They're going to probably be saying, oh, Aunt Elizabeth came through and he even named her. And Dad, he said his name was Joseph. And I mean, it just, because they're emotionally involved and they're motivated sitters. They're so badly want this that their head is spinning. I mean, I could almost put one of these videos whenever he says something like the cat, and you can see like there should be a sound that's going like
right, the hamster in the wheel.
It's got to fit. How am I going to make this cat fit in here somewhere? Because I can't question Matt. So it must be my fault that I can't put the cat in. Oh, wait, there's a cat. I remember a cat when you were a little girl. Oh my gosh. Okay. We can move on now.
Well, he's also telling them that it is their fault. Remember, we had talked about previous readings where he actually goes, hello, right? Pay attention.
Pay attention.
I'm sorry, I don't do a very good Matt Fraser, people.
Pay attention.
He's putting the onus of his mistake on the sitter and making them
get in line. Come on, man. You got to get to it.
Most people, when they're told no, listen to no. People that don't respect no don't have very good boundaries. So when somebody's telling you no, you usually concede to that. Not to mention, we had talked a little bit about domestic violence. 1 in 3 women have experienced domestic violence. And this idea of coercive control, you can really see how manipulative he is in using the word no and pushing back and making his reading fit.
And he's in a person of authority.
Never makes the mistake here, right?
He's the great Matt Fraser, America's top medium, the bestseller author and TV show. So, of course, he knows. And these are women who, a lot of them are in an emotional state, obviously. And a lot of women are conditioned to just, the man in authority, even though he's
Yes.
30, he's the same age as my son, I think. He's the
Right.
kid to me.
And then the other thing is people are paying him to be an expert, right? So then we have this whole power play of a celebrity and people who are not celebrity. And of course you want what he is giving,
Mhm.
right? And so that puts him in a position of power. So there's a disparity there already in the, I wouldn't say relationship, but in the interaction itself. And so I think that's really key to keep in mind when we're watching these things. He's here to make money, period.
And
I really
entertain,
believe that.
or whatever the equivalent is, to keep the followers that are watching entertained and engaged. And because he's only giving 9 readings out of all of these people that are there, so everybody else has got to feel like they're getting something out of it, because the odds of being chosen are very low. So
And then like you were talking about, we talk about the bell curve. We start out asking questions, we go up, we get really emotional somewhere around here, and then we start coming back down with the platitudes and the feeling better and the
same pen I have.
Oh, I mean, this is an amazing pen, people.
Almost the same pen. I'm like, what the heck?
So it definitely, like you said again, it follows a pattern. They're getting what they want, which is this emotional catharsis. They feel it's a connection, and then they're having reassurance and validation what they want to hear.
Your very special.
Very special. They're in heaven, right?
Very special. I mean, being chosen out of all these people is because their father and aunt are coming through special, and
right. And then you see
all the other people.
The economics of scarcity, right? And that's exactly, they're special because they were chosen, right? Because their loved one loves them so much, right? That they had to contact that Fraser, right?
The power of, we haven't really heard anything that's good, though. I mean, has the sister or the father given him any kind of information that wasn't a platitude, that was like informative? Like, did they say Venezuela will be bombed? No. Any kind of
or
information they can use in the world somewhere,
right? The code to the
password?
safe, the code to the safe is this: I left my will here, right?
Look, I make sure you check behind the because I left that back there, or I forgot to pay the premium on the insurance, and I forgot to enroll in this. Make sure you get that right away, because there's $1 million policy. No, none of that stuff.
Make sure you water my hydrangeas, right? Like,
oh my gosh, no, it's just like, hey, he's talking about a ring that you already. There's nothing. There's really, well, I don't know. Is there more, Rebecca? Is there more?
Oh wow, we're getting ready to hit the banger
I've
here.
really forgotten all of this. And
oh my gosh, I can't. This is like one of the most memorable things in all of the readings.
Okay, let's see what happens next.
But he showed me this being done in the future, and he's letting you know that the fact that you and your husband just talked about this, right? He's going to be with you right at that exact moment.
Yeah.
And he's acknowledging that to let you know that he sees that as well. He's also very, very adamant about letting you know that he's driving again on the other side. So he tells me that he was very upset that you took his keys away, that he couldn't drive.
Yeah, he had many health problems. Actually had a brain injury. He fell downstairs, he broke his back twice, he broke his neck. He could walk, but his driving, I was always worried. We had his keys removed, and then he had to take tests, and he got them back.
He used to ride a motorbike.
I was always like, I think it's driving.
This is his way of letting you know in spirit, right? That souls will show us that they are okay and that they're fine. And the things that they couldn't do here in this world because the illness prevented them or stopped them, they can do in spirit. And he keeps showing me, like, him holding these car keys and getting into this car and saying to me, like, let them know I can drive. Let them know I can do this. And that's his way of letting you know that he's finally got his independence back. he's able to, you know, walk and move and speak and do all of these things. And it's his way of letting you know that he is okay on the other side.
That's good. Thank you. Yeah, I was just
oh my God, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that you guys were here today. Is this your first time, Sue, coming to the online reading?
No,
It's
my
second first time.
Did you guys come together last time too, or did you come separately?
When we saw you in Rama in Ontario, we came there. We all came together, didn't we? And my husband was alive.
Yeah.
But I saw you back in 22, I think. My sister had passed and took her life in 22, so I was hoping she'd come through. And my dad had passed, and our son had passed. So we've had a lot of loss.
Yeah, my brother.
Well, I'm so happy that they came through for you today. I'm so happy that you guys decided to attend because, you know, sometimes if a soul passes too early, like for example, when your sister passed in 22 and you just came right after her passing, sometimes souls are still going through that transition process to the other side. They're not stuck. They make it to heaven. But the thing is that when you first get there, there's a lot of things that your loved ones do, you know, when they first get to the other side. So the fact that, you know, they're coming through today and now, I know that it just means that their soul is settled and that their soul was, you know, waiting to come through and reach you today. I'm so happy that the both of you are here.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'll leave you guys with that. I also, at the same time, I want to go over to Debbie Dent as well. Can we go over there?
All right. And that is that. So the message is popping up on the screen is somebody who recorded this for me. They were getting a private message from somebody in the chat of the Matt Fraser thing. So I'm going to blur that out. So you guys will just see this big white thing there, but that was what was going on in that was part of the recording. So I couldn't get rid of that, but hey, you can drive. Not only can you have a pony, you can drive on the other side, Rebecca. I'm going to heaven right now, man. Let me tell you, I'm out of here. Let's go.
I was about to say, so we use fossil fuels in heaven.
Well, they're pushed by angels, angel breath.
We're not worried about the environment in heaven. Yeah. And so he says he's very adamant on that he's on the other side and that he is driving, right? And you see this huge emotional payoff. There's this huge emotional reaction. This is the biggest one we get from this entire reading, I think, because there's jaw dropping, there's mouth covering, there's pearl clutching, there is laughing, right? You know, that he was upset that they took his keys. I mean, that's very upsetting for everybody, and sometimes it happens. But then she gets into all of his, you know, his ailments.
What a mess he was in.
Right, broke his neck.
Oh.
And he's saying, you know, things that they couldn't do here, they can do there, and then he's regained his independence. And so, to let them know that, you know, he's okay, right? To segue into the next statement, he starts to talk about that quote unquote transition process when souls first get to heaven.
Oh yeah, got to consult the rules.
I want to know what it is that we have to do when we get to heaven, because I like to have a list, people.
Maybe
like
there's a test.
Be prepared. Okay.
There's a test they have to do.
I want to know what's on this quiz. Okay.
Maybe you have to count maybe you have to look at how many angels are dancing on the pin of a needle. That
right there.
You take classes on
the souls
wings adjusting and wing how to have the halo put on. Harp lessons, Rebecca. Come on.
And that the souls are not settled. I mean, it sounds like dirty water and we're waiting for the dirt to settle at the bottom of a jar.
He's making it all up. And it's just,
I know.
And they're just agreeing. They're so bereaved. They're so bereaved. I mean, that father, what a mess. I don't know how they got him to the Matt Fraser show, because he had a broken back, broken neck. He was a mess. He's had to have his ring cut off years ago. So he must have been in really bad shape years ago.
Very ill.
What the heck? This poor man, he sounds like he was pretty miserable. And did you see their son died too?
Right, their son had died. And it makes me wonder if she was hoping to hear from the son. And that's a really sad thing. That I have a son that would that's the worst thing.
Yeah, and why,
ever.
why
It's the
doesn't the
worst
son
thing
come
ever.
through? Did he say when the son came through? She said the sister died in 22,
Yes,
right after, and then they went to the Matt Fraser show in
right.
2023, I guess. And then her husband dies probably in 2024. And I don't think, does she say where the son fit in that he died?
No, she just said at the end, towards the end, that they had lost a son.
Just,
So this lady really, I'm not even kidding. She made me cry because, coming into this whole thing, I kind of did believe in psychics. I'm not going to lie. You watch these heavily edited TV shows with like Teresa Caputo, and you see her giving them this validation that the soul is
right.
well, that the soul wants them to not feel guilty and to be at peace and to go on with things. And what you don't see there is all the misses.
And
And
the editing that's going on. The cold reading, there's
having
so much.
learned from you through this process, Susan, the different techniques that are being used and having witnessed the pattern that emerges if you watch enough of these, I think it's possible for people to be clairvoyant, but I also feel he definitely is not.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is when I'm looking at the website or an article that had been written, his mom has declared herself a psychic.
Mm-hmm.
They think that the first son is a psychic because she could see the son when she was pregnant with him and that he had brown eyes. And then when he was born, he had blue eyes and then they turned to brown. I mean, most babies, when they're born, their eyes look blue.
Right.
And then they change color. And so they feel that the baby was sending her this image that the baby has gifts, and not to talk about somebody else's child. I shouldn't have brought that up, but they talked about it in the article, so I don't feel bad. But, he also feels that the mother's mother, so his maternal grandmother, was also psychic. So they're making this whole lineage.
That's common. It's very common for mediums to do
that this is an
come from a
inherited.
long line of mediums.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Common.
Building the story, the narrative. Right.
He also talks about he's a long line of people from the mob. That was one of the readings. I was like, okay.
Is that the one where he had the Italian New Jersey people and he said, "Who's Tony?"
Brooklyn. And there's somebody who was shot in your neighborhood.
Crime too, right?
And she's like, what are you talking about? No, nobody in my neighborhood. Yes, there's somebody who was in home invasion robbery and was part of the mob, and he was one of those guys that just kind of goes along with it to protect people in the mob. She's like, really? Okay.
That was a good one too.
That was early on. I think that was October. No, it must have been early November when we saw that.
That was.
Oh,
that
they're
was
all blurring in my head. Oh my gosh.
They all do.
Wow. Blur. What do you want to say about this reading as a whole? Now that we've finally got to the end of the damn thing.
Gosh, I can't even count. I thought when I reviewed it a couple times on my own that there were 4 major inconsistencies, but having really conversed about it and seen the words on the screen in real time with the images and the reactions, there's more than 4 inconsistencies here. The reason I wanted to talk about this specific reading, I've already said, is because this lady's grief was so overwhelming. It really, really hit home for me. He is really doing a lot of the cold reading techniques. He's using throwing out the open-ended questions. He is guiding the conversation. He is using his body language and his hand signaling in specific ways. He's looking for emotional engagement and reaction to guide his questions and his answers. And a lot of what he said.
Speaking fast.
A lot of what he said, like we said, we brought up the social tropes, the profiling, the things that we already know about men, the things we already know about suicide. I don't really feel like he gave them anything new. I think the only thing that he gave them was reassurance that the souls were on the other side. And he says that in every reading when you boil it down.
Well, he's only supposed to be able to talk to the ones on the other side. I mean, he can't, if they were in hell, which nobody ever is, would he be able to communicate with them?
Not in these readings, right? Exactly.
I don't know if he can. Or,
And you,
well, I know he isn't talking to anybody, but I mean, he never says, it's hot down there.
right. And you see a lot more, and he gets a lot more engaged with the person who's more visibly grieving in this reading, which is the mom,
Mhm.
Sue. And like you had pointed out to us, which I never knew, is that a lot of his readings are to middle-aged or older women, that he almost exclusively reads to
Mhm.
women,
Oh, yeah.
never to men that
Never,
are
never a single man. But I did download a video recently. I just accidentally stumbled across that was on his channel. I think it's going to, I didn't watch it, but it's going to be a single man. But it stands out. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of readings I've looked at, and one single man out of all of these, very
right,
interesting.
right. This really played to your theme of grief vampire. He is really feeding off of their grief.
Yeah.
He's looking at their grief reaction and playing off of it,
Profiting off
plain
of
and
it.
simple. And that's not just because of the inconsistencies and the understanding and having a family member with Parkinson's, but it was really just as a whole, I think it's a almost perfect example of his manipulation of these poor people that are grieving and taking their money, by the way.
And do you think that they feel better?
I think what you've taught us through, in our conversation and speaking, that's why people come. And that he definitely, in that bell curve of question, 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 we get up, we get really dramatic. Then he always sends them away feeling better.
Mm-hmm. So they're
We
going to
don't
feel
end
good.
the reading
They're going to
until
feel
he
good.
knows they feel better.
I think they're going to leave this reading feeling great. They had a cry, they had a bonding experience.
Yes.
The sister is in heaven and dad's doing great. He's even driving a car.
That's driving in heaven.
So I think they're going to leave feeling amazing about this. And the stories they tell to any other family members that are still left are going to be embellishing it as human beings are and making the story even better, because there's no way of verifying it. They're never going to see this reading that you and I are doing. And they're going to just, it just grows his base, because the family members will go, my sister went to see Matt Fraser and oh my gosh, he got all this stuff right. And it's just storytelling, they continue it on. And there's no help for these people at this point. There's no way if I could reach out and talk to one of them and say, hey, what happened was all cold reading, here's the tactics, watch this video that Rebecca and I did. They're not going to watch it. They're going to be mad. And they're going to be, how dare you take that away from me? How dare you? My husband was here. My sister was here. How dare you say that he was lying? We can't have that. No way. You're evil. You sinner. You awful human being. I hope you die. I mean, that's what they're going to say about somebody like you and I, because you can't reason with somebody once they've already had a reading, because to take that away from them, even if it was obvious, I mean, like, well, it is obvious to us, but even if I don't know, Matt just let it slip that, yeah, he was making it all up, their cognitive dissidence isn't going to allow that to happen. They're going to say, no, this was real. You cannot convince me otherwise. So that's it.
The one thing that we all want is more time with our loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that we want is to connect with them again and them to be with us again. So when I lost my grandmother, I hadn't talked to her in over a year. I didn't realize how bad she was until I made it to the hospital room and she was in a coma. Nobody had told me. And I used to beg God to let me see her in a dream, right? And that's part of why I get so emotional about him manipulating and taking money from these people, is because, as you said, you're never going to be able to convince them otherwise, because this is the last message from their loved one that's going to be held so tight and so cherished that, like you said, there's absolutely no way you're going to be able to convince them otherwise. The second point in talking about him reinforcing his base is when we had spoken, I think by message, specifically about celebrity support of psychics and making it more popular.
Right.
Right. And so people are seeing this more in social media. You know, people are having these one-on-one celebrity shows with the psychic reading, right? And building the base, and how that propaganda is also at play here.
The media seems to think that this is all fun and games. And they think that they seem to say that, oh, this is all very helpful. These people are all helped. And maybe she is. I don't know. But what ends up happening is these women are not going to be able to get another reading with Matt Fraser. It's a lottery, right? You're not going to win it twice. So what will happen is, now that the daughter and the mother believe that this happened and that they want their dead loved ones want to be in touch with them, and they haven't heard from the son, they're going to seek out other mediums that are easier to get a hold of, cheaper. You can get a dedicated reading with them. And because my channel is full of readings from these lower level mediums, and they're out for if they can get a hook in you, it's much more intense. They're giving medical advice, they're giving financial advice, they're doing more to bring you back into their little circle. Come have readings with us. Oh my gosh, I have a workshop this week. You need to come over and have a workshop. Invite your friends. It becomes more of a little community. They're small. I mean, these are small groups of people, but because she's never going to have a reading with Matt again, and she can't be satisfied. She hasn't even talked to her son yet. So they're thrust into the arms of mediums that are even more grief vampire than Matt Fraser. And that's really where the harm is, because financial and medical advice from people you've put them on a pedestal. Heck yeah. It's dangerous.
Right.
It is very dangerous. Somebody could walk away from this and everything would be fine. They never see a medium again. They had a wonderful time. They had a wonderful cry. Her and her daughter are going to have this nice experience and conversation. They'll joke around about dad driving, and maybe they'll have more comfort about maybe their own demise and the days they go. That's possible. But it's also possible that they're going to fall into the arms of somebody who's much more dangerous. And we don't know which way it's going to go.
Right. And I think that's a really valid and important point. I didn't even think about the exposure to continuing predation.
Well, they haven't talked to the son yet.
Right. And then, the other piece, if I'm not mistaken, Matt Fraser doesn't do personal readings anymore. Is that correct?
Mm-mm. You cannot get a personal reading from him. You can only go to these gallery readings, and on luck, you get one called on. 9 people out of lots of people that are there. We know that.
Right.
But yeah, and same with Tyler Henry. I mean, same with all of those, Teresa Caputo, John Edward. It's very hard to get a reading. Somebody will get readings from them. I mean, they're going to continue doing readings, but you can't buy a reading. Why? He's making a lot of money just by doing it just this way. 9 readings.
Right. And not to mention the books and the, like you said, the TV show and
yeah, he's making bank off of these people's grief. And it's preying, P-R-E-Y, not P-R-A-Y. He's preying on their grief. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Rebecca, I'd hate to say it was fun, but it was fun. It's super interesting to go over this with you. You really had some wonderful insights that I was like, what? I've forgotten that. I didn't even notice that.
Gosh, I like that we had that nice debate back and forth, and I like that we could you let me share my individual thoughts about this. Definitely, I've learned so much from you, and I was really excited to be part of, the reviewing of the psychic readings and just learning about the
We'll have
different
to do
techniques.
more. We're gonna
Yeah,
have to do
that
more.
would be awesome.
I've got more readings I've got to get through, so we'll be in touch after this, and maybe we'll get some more there. It was yeah, every time I've done one of these with a co-host, it's much more interesting doing it with a co-host. It goes on longer, but I think I learned myself things that I hadn't learned.
Right. I learned so much from you every time that we talk. And so I just really appreciate your kindness and sharing and how compassionate you are to try to help all these people.
Yeah, well, they would hate me. They're and now you're on their hate list too, Rebecca. Sorry.
Oh, well.
Evil skeptics that we are. We're just trying to take their loved ones away from them. And I feel
Right.
bad. And I do feel that. I do feel absolutely, I feel it. But it's like when somebody, and I've worked in the world of pseudoscience for a long time. And when I kind of I started out with psychics, but there was a time where I was working on a cancer clinic in Houston, Texas, the Brzezinski.
Oh, wow.
And I was really working with a team of people, and we did a lot of stuff to make their lives miserable. And these are people who are in stage 4. Absolutely, you're going to go home and go die. Go home, you're going to die. And so they find this clinic that is going to, for a huge fee, consultation fee was $1,300, I think. And consultation fees are usually free. And all these horrible things happen to these people and they always die. They always die. And so, it hurt because we know that we're taking it away from these people's last chance. Children dying of brain cancer and stuff. It was just the worst. We know that it's a quack, that they're preying on you for your money, and horrible things. The treatment they put them through was awful, and the children had to go to Houston from wherever they lived, and they end up dying in hotels and stuff like that. It was just awful. But who am I to be taking away all their hope and all their chances and everything? But somebody's got to do that because we're hoping for the future people. I can't help these people, but there are other people who might have fallen into this trap and will see this and go, oh, that's what cold reading is. I get it. It looks really real. And then when you start breaking it down, you go, oh, I can sort of see the pattern of this. Oh, I kind of get this now. Like you're saying, you don't really think about it. And then now I see this happen all the time.
Yeah, I was really convinced that a couple of them were actually hot reading because of, him mentioning some crimes and things that sounded like they would have been on Facebook or in the newspaper, but I definitely have come the other direction. So
yeah,
definitely learned a lot.
There was 2 people who said the one about the crime that they said, no, and I reviewed it with Richard Saunders and Laura Benham the other day. So it's on my channel. It's a video right after. You can tell which ones I'm doing with people like this, you guys, viewers out there. They're hot pink around the outside on the thumbnail. And so you can see those are the ones that I'm having conversations and we're dissecting these together. But Richard Saunders absolutely said that is hot reading somehow. And then as we got through the reading, he's like, well, maybe he had a little help. And then, but I'd heard that exact same one from another person too, said, oh, well, that one was a hot reading. I'm like, no, there's no hot reading in that. That was cold. But when you listen to it, you go, oh, I see the word play. Now. It's interesting.
Yeah. Happens so fast. So fast.
We'll say goodbye to everybody, Rebecca. You'll be back.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day. And thanks for listening.
Thank you guys so much for listening. And please leave your comments underneath. I really would appreciate that. Rebecca and I will probably be reviewing these and going, wow, we didn't even catch that. But you never know because it goes hot and fast. So thank you so much, Rebecca. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you, Susan. I appreciate you.
We waited a few days to get this done, and I'm super glad we did. So I'll get this out soon.
Okay, great. Okay.